Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, your favorite automotive show where we talk about the things that improve the customer experience at your stores. And once a month, I have a segment dedicated towards TechForce.org because it's an organization that I believe in. I've been in this automotive business of ours for 44 years, and it's been a really good one. But I see that every year there are less and less technicians coming out of tech school, and there's a greater need. And every store I walk into, it's the same thing. We need techs. We need techs. And a lot of people don't have a plan. I'm here to tell you that TechForce can be a strong part of your plan because they have some wicked affiliations with schools across the country. And they give a lot of scholarship monies to help students get into automotive, fleet, aviation. Things you don't even think about. On average, I think the organization gives out about 1.5 million, but this year slated for, I think it's 2.3 million or something like that. Chris, do you know that number? I think it's 2.3.
Right about there, yep.
It's a crazy number. So we have with us today Chris Blanchette. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your history? And it's a pretty rich history, man. For a young guy, you've done a lot of great things. So why don't you tell us about it?
Probably look younger than I actually am, but I started in the industry back in the 90s as a technician, so making my living out of a toolbox, as many of us do or did. From there, I actually had an opportunity to go over to BestBuy, where I was an auto tech there doing 12-volt electronics in vehicles, and came up through the retail chain a little bit, but services and, kind of doing the technical things were more in my wheelhouse. So I had the opportunity to start the in-home division with a handful of other really talented folks. That took me around the country and took me around a few different roles in the organization and operations and training and education and outside sales and a handful of different things before going overseas to China. And then when I came back, I had the opportunity to be a leader in the automotive division at BestBuy for about the last 5 or so years that I was there. From there, I went over to Bridgestone Retail, which is the largest operator of automotive service and repair shops, about 2,300 stores nationwide. I led technical operations and innovation over there before going to Advanced Auto Parts as the Vice President of Operations and Strategy. And then the last, couple of years, I've been more in the private equity space, working with a couple different organizations, consolidating and growing service and repair networks for them. So it's been super fun. And, I got to tell you, and I know we're going to spend a lot of time talking about this, the automotive industry is one that has given a lot and I think will continue to give in the future.
You were also you're on the board of directors with TechForce, and you were its chair not that long ago, right?
Yeah, immediate past chair. So Angie Babin is our current chairperson, and I had the pleasure of succeeding her or preceding her, excuse me.
It's funny. A lot of guests that I have come on the show, we share some similarities, right? I started in the aftermarket. I started driving in the 70s, late 70s, a fair auto supply parts truck to deliver auto parts to different repair shops. And then I also started as a technician after that, and had some leadership roles in the aftermarket. So we both worked aftermarket. I got into the dealership world and got into fixing computers also. So I kind of had my own in-house Geek Squad going because I was frustrated one day. I had a problem with the computer. All day I'm on the phone with tech support, and the guy just kind of left me for dead. The computer ended up working, but I vowed to learn about computers and be able to fix them myself. So that was pretty interesting. So a lot of parallels here. We got Peter Smith says, good to see you both. Thanks for tuning in, Peter. And Larry Feldman, my friend from New Jersey. Good evening, gentlemen. All right. So the automotive business, it's always changing. And let's talk about some of the current trends, some of the things that you're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, you want to go all the way back to like intermittent wipers?
Intermittent wipers.
That was a joke. That was a joke. Yeah, I mean, I make that joke because the industry has always been changing, right? It's
Yes.
one that's never remained stagnant. It's one that, constantly is being pushed by consumers, by engineers, to make the next thing, the latest and greatest thing, the next advancement. And man, I'll tell you right now, I think we're going through probably one of the most rapid periods of change in the automotive industry with the advent of all the alternative drivetrain systems, EV, battery electric, hybrid electric, as well as autonomy, vehicle autonomy, adaptive driving systems. We've got different ownership models that are happening in the automotive industry. So, it's a super exciting time to be in the automotive industry. And, the beauty also is that it is, while it is changing, it is an extraordinarily stable industry. I always kind of make the tongue-in-cheek joke, when the economy is good, people fix their cars. When the economy is bad, people fix their cars. So it's a great industry to be in. And, the majority of the miles driven out there are commuter miles. So, it's one that's necessary, right?
What is interesting about it is, and that's a good point that you make. The cars are on the road a lot longer today. If you Google how long is a car on the road, you'll find a number of 12.2 years. So there's a tremendous need for these cars to be fixed. And, with not enough people coming out of tech schools, it makes an organization like TechForce that much more valuable. There's so many things we don't think about, right? Some of these young people that want to get a tech education, they may not have the money for it. But even if they do have the money for it, let's say they're just scraping by, something happens with their car, they miss a test or they miss a few days of schooling, your whole thing can go sideways just like that. And that's where an organization like TechForce really comes into play, because they have ways to help these students.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I actually think the average age of vehicle in operation right now may have actually crested almost 13 years old. So that's the average age of vehicle on the road. So without a doubt, I mean, miles driven is continuing to go up. Average age of the VIO is continuing to go up. The number of cars that are on the road is increasing at like a 1 to 1.5 CAGR every single year. So it's an industry that's got momentum.
Now, with the technologies that change, the needs change, right? I mean, the kids today, we're not having the conversations early enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because young kids, they're interested in computers, games, things like that. And, it's been for so many years, oh, you have to go to college, you have to go to college. By the time they get out of college today, if one were to start today, they're looking at $250,000 worth of student loan debt. Whereas with automotive, it's really, it's not even a fraction of that. It's such a small number. And with dealers providing things like starter tool sets, it's a great opportunity for people to get started in a trade where they can make a lot of money right out of the gate, right?
For sure.
The pandemic has certainly wreaked some havoc too, because people were out and about. How have you seen that impact, your side of the automotive industry?
Yeah, I'll tell you, myself being in the aftermarket, the pandemic hit the industry in a few different ways. I mean, it obviously caused some pretty significant turbulence as it relates to supply chain and availability of parts and especially, I don't want to speak for my brothers and sisters over in the collision and repair industry, but I know their supply chain for replacement panels and those types of things was even, gobbled up a little bit more than than the aftermarket repair, parts industry. But, one of the things that it did is it actually pushed that average age of vehicle up. People were holding on to their vehicles longer. People were fixing their cars versus turning them over, which means that, more and more vehicles, a larger percent of the VIO. And when I say VIO, it's vehicles in operation, registered vehicles in the United States.
Yeah.
That segment that was addressable by the aftermarket just grew. So while I certainly would never wish for another global pandemic by any stretch of the imagination, what it did was actually, kind of turned, some thoughts and I guess, mentality towards, keeping your vehicle on the road for a longer period of time. So, I think we're kind of out of the woods, maybe not entirely, but mostly out of the woods as it relates to some of the supply chain issues that we faced, as well as, some of the pretty wacky inflation that we've seen over the course of the last year and a half. So
I think we're about to get into another supply chain issue based on what's happening in our business right now.
Knock on wood, right?
I want to get to Jimmy Sevilla. Welcome. Says, good evening, everyone. And we have Craig Tomazik. Says, I'm not sure the industry does enough to attract young people that want to work with their hands. Yes, vehicles are the most advanced they've ever been, but there's plenty of mechanical repairs that need to be done as well. Not just computers and electronics that need repairs. That's 100% correct. And that's a conversation that we need to start a lot earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. I've got a early conversations short video here. It is 1 minute and 18 seconds. So check this out.
You know me. I'm just a younger version of you.
I like to tear stuff apart so I can put it back together.
My hands are my best tools.
I learn with my hands. I work with them.
I think with them.
We know how to make things go.
So what would you tell me if I was the younger you?
Would you tell me to stop fidgeting?
Sit at my desk and try to be like everybody else? Or that there's only one road to success? Or should I keep driving like you did, fixing stuff and figuring out how to keep the world moving?
Help me show the world that there's a profession right here in my hands.
Help me build my life and my career the way I'm wired to work.
For us, this is how we work, and you can lay that across to you. It's how we are, wired for success. If we stand together, stand for those of us who love working with our hands, we'll not only champion tomorrow's workforce of technicians, but we just may change the way everyone thinks about technical careers.
You figure out how to be you.
Now help me be me.
So these are conversations that need to be had really, really early. And to Craig's point, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of computer stuff in cars today, but there are other repairs as well. For those not familiar, if you sign up for a free account on techforce.org, there's a lot of training material there. There are videos that teach kids, adults, anybody that wants to learn some of those things that Craig's talking about. How to replace a ball joint, how to replace a window regulator, all these different types of repairs that you can learn by watching videos. And this is something that you can learn at home, or you can incorporate it in a program if there's a garage that offers some kind of apprenticeship program, or a partnership with a high school that maybe doesn't have an automotive program. We've got a shop here in town, a place called Furman's Garage, that has partnered with a high school. And I posted something a few months back where you've got these kids, they're being taught auto mechanics at this repair shop. And you see them doing brake jobs, all different kinds of repairs. And the great thing about the videos on the techforce.org website is that they're short, easy to follow videos. There's so many different topics on, and not only how to fix things, but also how some of these technologies work, right? A lot of times you'll hear about a particular system on a car, but you'll have no idea how it works. And these videos are good for anybody because it teaches them how to use that. Now, you have with EVs and things like that coming out, there's a lot of subsidies. So we're going to see more of those. The question is, are we going to have enough technicians for that? So how long have you been involved with TechForce?
8 years now, I think.
Wow, long time.
Yeah.
You must have seen a few changes along the way there, huh?
Yeah, we've changed, we've grown, which is fantastic. And when I look at the need for technicians, it's only growing, and that's to me something that needs to be kind of sung from the highest hill in the United States. Is this is not only a wonderful industry to be in. I know the attendee that posed the question there in the chat around needing mechanical repairs in addition to computer repairs. I think that's spot on. I think that the big difference is going forward. The technician of tomorrow is going to be different than the technician of yesterday. Because there are so many more computerized repairs. When you switch out a window control module, you have to initialize it with a scan tool. You have to kind of program different components of the vehicle during the repairs. And I think, even insofar as, 20, 25-year-old technology with wheel speed monitors and anti-lock brake systems and whatnot, that's technological advancements that took place 20, 30, 40 years ago that, were very different than the preceding technologies. And it pressured the technicians to grow and adapt and change. I think the big difference now is, as you look at kind of the aging ownership structure of a lot of the repair shops out there, the kind of next generation of technician that's coming into the workforce is really going to be faced with a lot of transition as it relates to opportunity to, grow and develop themselves, get into management or ownership potentially, as well as goals. I've always kind of said it's master your mobility. You can grow and become a master technician and make a phenomenal living for you and your family. You can go the mobility route and get into management and ownership potentially. Really it's kind of the sky's the limit. Just how far you want to go, how hard you want to work, and the opportunity is going to be there.
Now, what I love about the TechForce website is that it's geared towards the Gen Zs and the Millenials, right? The way it's set up to make it engaging for those folks, because a lot of the technicians that are in the dealerships today, they're 40 plus, right? Mm-hmm. And let's face it, it hasn't been the easiest of work, and I'm hearing about more and more technicians retiring from our business. So it makes an organization like TechForce even that much more valuable, because it's geared specifically towards the Gen Zs and the Millennials in their preferred learning style to bring them into the business.
Absolutely.
So we're looking at a lot of growth over just the next few years here.
Yeah, a lot of growth in the industry. Unfortunately, it's not met with the same amount of supply as it relates to the actual technical workforce that's needed. So as I look at, kind of the call to action for anybody that's involved in the automotive industry, or even anybody that's passionate or has a skill set that they can lend, man, get involved with your local tech school, be it at the high school, be it your local community college that has an automotive technology program. Sit on their advisory committee, help out. Unfortunately, with a lot of these programs, they don't have a big what I would call PTA backing. to help them out. And they got to worry about things like accreditation and ensuring that their students are supported. They got to be both administrator and teacher and guidance counselor and, wear a lot of different hats. So the help of the general community around them, be it if you're an automotive professional or if you've got a good head on your shoulders from an operations, sales, marketing, accounting, you name it. If you're willing to give some time to help inspire a lot of these young people pursuing a career here, that's going to be, I can tell you, welcomed with open arms.
And they keep it interesting also. Did you have an opportunity to go to any of the events with the students or no, over the 8 years you've been there?
I have been to a handful. Yeah. I've been to, oh man, we've done some fun stuff. Don't get me wrong. We've taken some students to top fuel drag races and whatnot, but we've also hosted students at our technology booth, at places like Barrett-Jackson, and got students in for free and allowed them to kind of have that experience, that high horsepower experience of being around some pretty cool stuff and some pretty cool people.
Being a gearhead from way back and having spent many weekends in Englishtown, New Jersey at Raceway Park, those are really fond memories. A few years back, my wife and I, just a few years actually, we went to the drag races because I hadn't been in so many years, and I just wanted to go again. The sound of the thunder and seeing the top fuel dragsters rip down the quarter-mile track it's just something that you have to experience, right? I remember when we were going home, our clothes were a little bit on the black side, and I didn't put two and two together until I figured out that it was all the rubber from the tires that's just all in the air. I shudder to think what I was breathing, what we were breathing in that day. But having gone there with young people on a road trip or field trip, so to speak, talk to me about what that must have felt like for the students.
Well, I'll tell you, it was pretty cool for me. But for the students, we got them kind of backstage. So for those top fuel dragsters, they rebuild the engine in between every pass.
Yeah.
So they'll rip down the pass that was at Charlotte Motor Speedway, this one, and then come back to the pit, and the whole engine gets tore down and rebuilt in between passes. So they were there, watching over the shoulders of these really, super high performance technicians that are responsible for ensuring that a car that goes 300 miles an hour in a quarter mile, doesn't slow down, doesn't do anything it's not supposed to do. There's no safety issues or anything like that. So it's pretty neat to see somebody's eyes light up. Like they just rebuilt a motor in like 15 minutes. It's pretty impressive.
Crazy. I mean, I've built engines, but never in 15 minutes. Let me tell you, it took a lot longer than that, but that's what these guys do. And what were some of the ages of the kids that went on the field trips? The ones that you
they were mostly, 18 to 22-year-olds in their first year and a half of a technical program.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine just going into a school and talking about our business and talking about TechForce and what must go through some of these kids' minds when they see that they may have an opportunity like that? I know that would change just about anybody's life.
Yeah. Well, not the least of which, being able to connect with a young person in their high school years when they're 15, 16 years old, trying to figure out what it is that I want to be when I grow up. I mean, I've got kids about that age right now, and I've told my wife plenty of times I would never want to be that age ever again, because it is the biggest roller coaster in life. You're socially maturing, you're you're being asked all these really mature questions, but just 2 years ago you were a kid, so it's a really tough part in anybody's life. And we're asking these 16-year-olds to kind of strike their path of destiny for the rest of their life. And they just don't know. It's a broad generalization. Some are pretty much on a path, but I'll tell you, putting this out there as an option for somebody is a powerful thing. And to tell them, hey, after high school, you can go get an education in automotive technology. In 4 years, after you've gone through that and you've, practiced your trade for a couple of years, you can be making some pretty doggone good money. You can be making money to buy your own house, buy your first house in your early 20s and start a family and live pretty well. Always have a working car, right? As well as, have some money for some nice vacations and live pretty nicely.
You're speaking about how I came up in this business.
Yeah.
At a very young age, the business has been very good to me, and I do my best to always talk about it and then to show people what great opportunities there are. I mean, there's a reason why most people don't make it out of our business alive.
Yeah.
Because once you get in it, it's just such an amazing business. I was at the supermarket yesterday, and I saw this guy. He had a dealership shirt on, and he told me he retired a few years ago. But once a car guy, always a car guy, and
right.
We just hit it off. I want to walk through. Let me just share this here for those that are not familiar with it. Let's see here. Here we go. All right. So when you go to techforce.org and you sign up for a free account, okay, and you'll see here it's a very nice layout. Stuff that's happening scrolls across the top here and through your dashboard. If you're ever wondering, what some of the scholarship opportunities are, very easy. You can apply for it right here. Okay.
And Paul, if I could interject,
sure.
The really neat thing about TechForce is that they not only provide tuition-based scholarships. So for somebody that's pursuing an education at a tech school to pay for their tuition, but in addition to that, they also provide what's called Life Happens grants. So we realized that as students were going through their education, I mean, listen, I was a broke college kid too. I get it. I was usually 2 pennies away from the bottom of my bank account throughout my entire college career. And what we saw was what knocks people out of this course of study are small bills that are unexpected. And strangely enough, a lot of them are automotive related. My car broke down. I need new tires, X, Y, and Z. I now need the hours that I was spending at school to now go work a job to pay for this thing. I'm behind on rent or whatever the need is. And TechForce is able to provide these Life Happens grants to make sure that the student stays in school and finishes school and, gets to that light at the end of the tunnel, which is a job in a shop or a dealership or wherever,
And man, I've said this a million times. Some of my best friends today I've met on both sides of the desk in this car business of ours. And you could see the names of the companies scrolling through the bottom here. A lot of us that are in automotive recognize most, if not all of these. So these are some big companies that are contributing to the success of TechForce. And, TechForce is a nonprofit. It's there for the students. It's there to help our industry. Like I said, whether it's automotive, aviation, or fleet. I think, what's the other one? Motorcycles and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anything that's got an engine, basically.
All right. Now the next tab here is the Career Hub. So it helps the students. You can upload your resume. They help you with that as well. And when you join this, like I said, it is a nonprofit. When you join it as a supporter, then you have a little bit, more access, right, than just somebody with a free account. Click on the next tab here. Here are some of the folks that are associated with TechForce. I had Cody was on recently, and
Cody's
Ben
one of the best. Yeah.
So eventually, I'm going to meet on. I think Dana may have been on as well.
Yeah.
Eventually, we're going to meet all these folks, and like I said, there's a vast network of schools throughout the country. So wherever you are, you have the ability to get involved with this program. I mean, look at this.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and the reach is huge. I mean, since TechForce started here about 15 years ago or so, they've actually helped 41,000 students make their way through their educational experience, and that's amassing $18 million in scholarship gifts over the years.
That's crazy. But look at, I'm scrolling here and it just keeps going.
Yeah, you're not even out of the C's yet. And more and more schools are getting added every day. These are all great schools. These are schools that most commonly have accreditation by ASE. These are schools that are, generally meeting a certain kind of rack of standards related to curriculum and environment and whatnot. So, if you can't find a school in your general area on here, let us know. We'll fix that.
I'm blown away by this. This is crazy. All right, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get dizzy scrolling here. All right, and now we've got
all the industry partnerships,
all the different partnerships. DealerVendorMatch.com is a proud partner as well.
Yeah. So thinking about this now on the industry side, this is why TechForce is so needed. So when you think about the employers on the other side, for every graduate right now, for every individual graduating an automotive technology program in those schools we were just flipping through, there are 5.5 jobs on the other side for them.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I put that right up there with nursing as far as opportunity.
Yeah. So it's not only wonderful for the graduate, but on the flip side, it's terrifying as a consumer that there's kind of a bit of a harbinger out there that says, eventually the supply shortage is going to catch up to us. And that's, really kind of one of the reasons I'm so passionate about it is there's going to come a day where I'm not going to be working on my cars myself anymore. But I need there to be technicians out there. My family members need there to be technicians out there to keep America rolling,
Wait a minute. Let me just back up for a second to something you just said. Did you say for everyone that graduates, there's 5 opportunities? Did I hear that correct?
5.5. Yeah.
5.5 opportunities.
Yep.
That's just crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
I don't know that there's another industry that has that kind of opportunity for somebody that's coming up through their education right now.
And a lot of these techs, they're making 6 figures after not a lot of time. If somebody's sharp and they learn some good skills, they're highly marketable. Wow. Yeah. And then here are some of the folks on leaderboard. Steve DiMarzio, I know that guy. So they make it fun. You know, the students can compete. Do you happen to know how many students are in this group? Is it 10,000 or more?
In the network, boy, I don't want to misquote it. But I know that there were over 300,000 students that were engaged with TechForce in their career exploration content. And I believe that the network has over 20,000 engaged in it. Yeah.
So not only do they learn skills, not only do they get opportunities, but networking is huge. So a lot of these students interact within this social platform.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things that you can genuinely say a career that takes you anywhere. So if you have a desire to live in a particular place,
yeah,
there's going to be a job there, you know, and that's the really beautiful thing about this industry, and especially being a technician, is I'm originally from Minnesota. I've gone from Minnesota to Illinois to Nashville, Tennessee to Raleigh, North Carolina, and who knows where next. But I also know that if I ever needed to get back to Minnesota, or, you know, I have, as an example, a cousin that actually just moved to North Carolina from Colorado and, you know, had multiple job offers before his tires even, you know, got onto the state line. So, you know, it's definitely one of those industries that you can move, you can have mobility if you want to live in a particular place, so long as you have that skill set, and you're going to find a job. You're going to be just fine.
Did you say Minnesota?
I'm Minnesota born and raised. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Frostbite Falls, Minnesota?
I'm gonna have my Minnesota card checked here. I don't know that I've ever been to Frostbite Falls, Minnesota.
Nobody has. That's where Rocky and Bullwinkle are from.
All right, it's a good thing I was honest then.
Oh God, that's so funny. You know, one of the many things I love about being in the auto industry is that, you know, in my role, I've met so many people online through LinkedIn and through different automotive associations. And I have friends literally all over the country and overseas that I've met through networking, right? So to your point earlier, think about this now. There are two conversations you can have with our young people today. You go to college, you get a 4-year degree, maybe you get a job, maybe you don't. One thing is for certain, you're going to have a pretty big student loan debt. And it's anybody's guess as to whether or not the job is going to support repayment of that debt, right? Or the other conversation is, hey, you know what? It's very respectable to work with your hands. I've done it. That's how I started in this. And I enjoy a very comfortable and a very happy life. And not only will you learn the skills, but now you also, the networking piece of it just takes off. So if I'm a student and I get involved with this network of tens of thousands of other students, and I make friends through this whole network, and I get to know those people a little bit more, I could literally write my own ticket. If like to your point, if somebody wants to live in Florida, if somebody wants to live in California, wherever it is that they want to pursue their employment, you've got an organization here that'll help you to get there. And you may very well have friends waiting for you there. I mean, that's powerful. Let me just say, Craig says it's incredible how far the industry has come to get new talent in. Just 10 years ago, most of this would have been unheard of and laughed at. Yeah, you're not kidding.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's not only on the side of support from a 501c3 not for profit like TechForce, but it's really pushing employers as well, shop owners, dealer group owners, to do better, to attract technicians. I mean, I've been fortunate enough as well to sit on the board of the ASE Education Foundation, and with me and sitting shoulder to shoulder are dealer owners and multi-unit shop owners, different folks that have worked for big corporations just like me. And the conversation is very similar around the table, that everybody needs to continue to be as best of an employer as they can, with a real focus on programs for technicians to ensure that they're not only attracted to their place of business, but that they get engaged, that they grow, that they develop, that they're supported throughout that journey. And the initial bite of education that you'd get from attending a tech school, a 2-year program or something along those lines is really just the first step in that journey, right? Because you're really kind of signing up for a lifetime of opportunity and a lifetime of learning as well. Because, I mean, let's face it, and we started this conversation by saying, let's talk about some new technologies like intermittent wipers.
Right.
Well, that may have been the thing that was new and confusing back in the days that my father-in-law was going to tech school. But when I was coming through, ABS was a little bit newer, right? And now the young people that are going through, they're learning about adaptive driver control systems, right? And lane keep assist and adaptive cruise control, and things that are even more advanced, right? So I think there's a lot to be said for not just how things like this have grown recently, but how much change has happened on the employer side as well, to, I hate to use the word competitive, but just become a better place for technicians and for people that are interested in automotive in general to work. I mean, it's the technicians, it's the service advisors, it's all the way around the horn.
What I love about bringing young people into our business, if I owned a shop or if I owned a dealership, okay, here you have the opportunity to really create just a wonderful culture and bring people and mold them to how you can create a really, really good environment and get these people to stay, to want to stay and want to grow with you. I have friends in this business that do a really, really great job at really developing great cultures in their stores. And while most of the industry is always crying about not being able to find technicians, you have those that have a bullpen of people waiting just to come in, And when you start with a young developing mind like this, where you can bring them in and share your vision with them and share all the good things about our business. I mean, when you just think about what it costs to replace a technician today, right? It costs about $170,000 to replace the technician. That's just a regular technician. We're not even getting into a master tech or a senior tech. Just a regular technician is about $170,000 to replace. And you don't recoup that money when you bring somebody else in. It's not just like turning on the spigot and you're picking up where you left off. It takes 3 years before you finally, get to that, break even point.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start off in something like this, and there's so many great things to engage in, look at this. This is the calendar of events. You could be a VIP backstage, free tickets in Dallas, students only. That's coming up September 21st. free tickets for Formula Drift. What young person, hell, I'd want to go on. I'm old. But what young person wouldn't want to go to this? Summit Racing. Oh my God, so many fond memories. I bought a lot of engine parts from Summit Racing over the years, back in the day.
No doubt. Well, and the other thing too, Paul, is, the TechForce network as it stands is not just for students, but also folks in industry, working technicians, instructors, professionals. So, anybody that's listening to this, if you're in the automotive industry, the TechForce network is open to you.
Just sharing the message of TechForce. I'm part of that organization. I'm proud and happy to be part of that organization because there's so much that it offers.
Absolutely.
And what do we have here? We have challenges. These are the different contests, right, that people can participate in to keep them engaged. And then we've got the training tab. Different organizations. Yeah, look at this. Installing replacement air ride shocks and struts. All these things they can learn. Now, keep in mind, it's not a certification program, but let's face it. If you know how to fix it, it gives you a leg up on, on getting your certification when you pursue that.
Yeah. And up top, it does give you kind of some tastes into, the different training programs that are out there. If you want to get into a general program that could lead you into the aftermarket, or if you're really passionate about a particular OEM nameplate, a GM or Ford or Toyota program, or any of the number of different ones that are out there, there's a program out there for you. A bunch of good content from our buddies at the Humble Mechanic. Absolutely.
Right. I was going to say that's Charles, right?
Yeah.
Diagnosing a diesel no start. Wow. There's so much you could learn here. I don't have enough hours in a day to soak up all this content. This is huge.
Yeah.
When to replace your alternator. How to fix a tire in an emergency. How a torsion bar works. That's the old, I remember the old Mopars used to come into the shop with torsion bars.
Yeah.
There's so much here that people can learn. So whether or not you're in the mechanical trade, if you just want to learn about some of the things here, sign up for a free account. Techforce.org is the website that you go to, and you could just learn so much stuff here. This is amazing. Run flat tires training. Converting cylinder heads for unleaded fuel. Wow. Understanding the relationship between brake pads and pulsation. And then
There's some neat stuff on here. Some very neat stuff.
Meet Luke, TechForce Scholarship recipient and future aviation maintenance technician.
Yeah, I tell you, there is story after story after story of scholarship recipients that have gone on to do some pretty amazing things. Jet engine technicians, supercar technicians, custom technicians, OEM dealership technicians, aftermarket technicians, you name it.
And if you see here, here's a young lady achieving technician career dreams. I think the number of women in our industry as technicians, I think it hovers somewhere around 3%.
Yep.
So the opportunity is huge, to have these conversations with them. I find women are typically more exacting than guys, right? Guys, we might figure out a shortcut, but we may miss some things along the way, where I think women are probably a bit more methodical when it comes to things. I think they're more likely to follow a specific, a specific route on diagnosing things to not miss anything or not overlook. So we've got huge opportunities here.
Yeah. And TechForce does have a specific program targeted at women who are pursuing an education and a career in automotive technology called Women Techs Rock. And as a result of that, about 16% of the scholarship dollars end up finding their way to women, which is fantastic. I mean, far outpacing the general demographics in the industry.
Yeah, I'm just so proud to be a part of my association with TechForce. It seems like I work all the time, but moments like this where I'm able to share the message of TechForce, I mean that's just what life's about for me,
Yeah, they have done and they continue to do some pretty amazing things out there. And I've been honored to serve on their board for many years and look forward to staying engaged with them for many years to come.
Are there things on the roadmap that we should know about, or just kind of join and stay up to date here?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say join and stay tuned. I mean, there's always new stuff coming down the pipeline. There's a lot of new and different content that's coming. I mean, I'll tell you the network that we're looking at right now, the TechForce network, didn't exist when I first engaged with the organization. This took quite a while for us to kind of synthesize and get up and running. And really, it's only been up for a couple of years now, and it's continuing to grow and continuing to develop. I think there's some real opportunities to continue to leverage this platform to do bigger and better things.
Now, Michael Weldon throws up some thumbs up here. He's on the West Coast. Marshall Sheldon, he says, I'm a little disappointed in the mentor portion. It's really just influencers. Sometimes you just need someone to ask questions about navigating the industry. This guy here, lives a major shout out to Marshall. He lives the Kaizen lifestyle. This guy, he's a master tech that is continually, I feel proud every time that I see him post yet the latest certification that he's achieved to just level up. He just keeps going and going and going. I don't think that there is no limit for this guy. So maybe that's something. I don't know if Marshall is involved with TechForce at all, but Marshall, if you're not,
let's get you connected.
I know there's only 24 hours in a day. I know this because I spent the entire, other than a 2-hour lunch that we had today with one of our fans / customers, I spent the entire day working. So I know that time is a premium for everybody, but would love to have you get involved if you're not already involved with this, because maybe, you can add some perspective on how that piece of it can improve, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, the mentor apprentice conversation is one that is rich in the industry right now. A lot of different organizations, TechForce included, are having the conversation, and there's many states, individual states. The state that I'm in, North Carolina, Trey, who's the head of career and technical education here, they have a program for mentorship and apprenticeship. So different state bodies, ASC has released a kind of sponsor my school apprenticeship program as well. So I think there's definitely a need for mentorship and apprenticeship programs out there, and I can tell you that that's one of the biggest, conversations happening industry wide right now is how do we not only get somebody into the industry, get them interested, get them supported, but then ensure that they've got resources along the way so that eventually they don't get lost, they don't attrit out of the industry, that we don't lose them to a parallel industry. So I think there's definitely something to be said for that, Marshall, and I think you're spot on.
Yeah, no. Marshall said I made an account and have been going through it. So that's a great thing.
Network.
Yeah, no, that's a great thing. I'm a huge believer in mentors. I think that is something that is crucial to the success of any employee, regardless of what industry. Just somebody to be able to reach out to and have a conversation with. I do some mentoring myself across a few different industries where people call me and ask for advice or ask for opinions on how to navigate certain waters, and that's important, because it's good to be able to have somebody that's done it or been through it, to be able to walk them through some of the things. Look, let's face it, getting through this business from the beginning, I made a lot of mistakes, right? I learned a lot of things along the way, and the way I start off with people is like, look, I don't know everything, but I've learned from where you are now and where you want to get. I've been through, and I've burned my hands a few times, right? So if I could share with you some of the shortcuts that I learned over time, that's going to help you get to where you want to get to faster. We don't have to make the same mistakes when there are mentors or people that can guide us through. Marshall says, I'm on multiple advisory boards. I train a new apprentice every 6 months. I also volunteered time to an online mentorship through Facebook, but it's a little impromptu.
That's great. We need more Marshalls.
Yeah, no joke. That's awesome. Yeah, he's just, you know what? There are a handful of people that we will meet in our lifetimes, like that guy, that really gives of himself to better our industry. So Marshall, thank you, man. Like I said, I look forward to each certification post that you put up, because I know that's just that much more that he's learned, and he's the type of guy that shares that knowledge with others.
That's great.
Wow. So here we are, the end of yet another hour on Sunday Night Live. This week as TechForce. Chris, I want to thank you for being on the show and sharing your involvement with TechForce. For anybody that's out there that's not connected with either myself or Chris, by all means, send us a connection request. I know I like to connect with like-minded professionals in our business. The way I look at it, if I can help you or if you can help me, then there's a reason to connect, right? I don't accept every request if it's not relevant to our industry, just because, like Marshall, I'm always working, so there aren't enough hours in the day sometime. Are there any final thoughts that you want to leave us with, Chris?
Paul, I appreciate the time, and I think we landed a handful of great points. I mean, TechForce is a wonderful organization. They've made some significant impacts in individuals' lives as they've pursued a career in automotive that I think you and I are testaments, as well as many others, to it being a great industry, a great way to make a living, to live a life, and we've got a exceptionally bright future ahead of us, not only with really fun and cool technological changes that are happening in the car park, but also as far as employers becoming better and the opportunities just being higher than they've ever been before. So I think I'd probably end my thoughts there and just say, get engaged. Go to the TechForce Network, techforce.org. Check it out. If you are a parent, talk to your kids about it. If you know other parents, talk to them about it, because the country needs more technicians. And like I said before, right now there's 5.5 jobs for every graduate. So it's a great industry to be in.
All right, I'm going to play a short 46-second clip from TechForce, and why don't you stay on after we log off here for just a moment.
TechForce, the first and only social network for next-gen tech.
Welcome to TechForce, a platform dedicated to launching and advancing the careers of next-generation technicians. People like you, students, instructors, working techs, industry leaders, you. Showcase your school, jobs, and awards. Post your current project and follow your friends. Flex your talent. Follow industry trends and connect with future employers. Connect. Works on all devices. Compete with other users and climb the leaderboard in daily and special trivia. Scholarships. $1.5 million in scholarships awarded annually. Explore your passion, flex your talent, build your career. Join techforce.org.
So thank you for watching. If you watched it live, thank you to those that are going to watch it on the replay. Hope you have a safe and successful next week, and we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live. Thanks again.